Hi there, my name's Roger Fenwick and I live in Tura in South Gippsland. I'm presenting this video to you to show you some of the issues that affect landowners that live nearby a wind farm. Hopefully you find it informative and simply expressed. My wife and I have lived in Tura for over 17 years. Recently, about 3 years ago, we purchased a 100-acre property to the east of Tura. This was the dream property we'd been looking for a number of years, right on the foothills of the Strzelecki's, looking out across these magnificent views. We were very aware, when we put in our planning application to build our new house, that there was a wind farm proposed for the hills behind us. There were four main issues that we felt critical to our decision making as to whether we would proceed with our dream. We attended the meetings held by Stanwell Corporation and the South Gippsland Shire Council to get as much information as possible in regards to the wind farm development and the effects that it might have on us as local residents. We decided to go ahead with building our house, as this is what we had planned to do prior to the wind farm's approval, primarily because the wind farm was behind us. It wasn't going to affect our magnificent view. The 105-metre wind tower is a very large structure. When you put 12 of them up, they are going to have an effect on the visual amenity of an area. Some panel members in the VCAT hearing commented that the surrounding hills being cleared were not of a particularly significant view. Now that's debatable. They did, however, acknowledge that Wilson's Promontory and surrounds was a significant view. I think what people seem to have missed is that a large number of residents buy in the hills behind the Strzelecki foothills so they can actually look at the prom. Obviously local farmers and residents own properties down here for other reasons. But there is a large number of people that purchase land down here for the view. They now have to look through the wind farm to get that view. In my opinion, that is a visual impact. It's proposed to build wind farms from the Welshpool Hills all the way around to the Hoddles here, which is pretty well covering all the foothills in this particular shot. It's interesting talking to tourists that visit wind farms. They generally say they're not that noisy. Most tourists who visit wind farms go to the tourist viewing areas, which are generally right underneath the wind towers. Now it's my argument that the modelling in relation to the decibel readings and the noise levels of wind farms has been incorrectly created. And this is because the noise actually changes the further away you go from the towers. You get considerable reverberation of the blades through the air. And at our existing place, which is about 1.2 kilometres from the towers, the tone of the wind towers is quite monotonous and quite noisy. The best analogy I can draw to this is the dripping tap syndrome. I think it's about time the EPA and other noise experts actually got far more serious in developing better models that take into account these variations of noise and the repetitive nature of it. Shadow flicker was always acknowledged would be an issue at certain times of the year and at certain times of the day. There was a particular figure, I think, of 30 hours per year that was considered acceptable. Now, in my opinion, any shadow flicker from a 105 metre tower is considerable, and it has an impact on people who live nearby. We've had this sort of shadow flicker across our property, our existing house and our new house from May right through till present, which is at the end of July, for about half an hour every evening whenever it's sunny. This shadow flicker does have an impact. It wasn't here before, and it's here now. With all the arguments you have heard today against wind farms, plus the impacts this video has highlighted, I think it's reasonable to say the jury is still out in regards to these impacts and the effect they have on communities and local residents. We live about 1 kilometre away from the wind farm, but there are people who live this close to the wind farm further up Silcox Hill. I don't know how anyone can say that this sort of impact is minimal. It must affect their lifestyle. Given wind farm companies and participating landowners are making money out of these developments, it should be fair to insist planning law should place a greater burden on these groups to prove minimal impact and or compensate affected neighbours for these impacts. In my opinion, the government, both state and federal, have not implemented a particularly well thought out planning regime for wind farm development across our state. The divisive case-by-case nature in which wind farms are being approved, I think, is a poor example of proper planning. Hopefully you found this video useful. It is my hope that in the future, decisions regarding these wind farms' placement take into account to a far greater degree the impact it has on local residents. Thank you for your time.